Hi, I'm Haley, and I did my research for this presentation on improving learning, specifically the use of metacognition and different learning techniques both for students and for educators. So to get right into it, the first part of the research focused on metacognition and what we would sort of define as a student's knowledge about learning and their personal strengths and weaknesses as it relates to learning, and also their self-regulation, so their ability to regulate their own learning. And often what metacognition results in is an internal dialogue that a student will have. So what researchers have realized is that there is a knowledge gap. Students think they know more than they do. They have a lower comprehension level about their understanding of material, so it actually results in lower test scores. And as we move along, without fully understanding what it is you do or do not know, you can't adequately plan for an exam. And consequently, students are doing worse on exams. They're not strategizing because they assume that they have the material. I've got this in the bank, I don't need to study. And this needs to be addressed by teaching metacognition skills, especially as students go through, and get into college. It's all about self-regulated learning. So if a student, can't self-regulate their own learning as a high schooler, how can we expect that when they're in college? Three main strategies that I found through researching this to improve metacognition or to teach it are to emphasize that it is a skill. You can learn how to learn. You're not sort of set in this one way that you as a student know how to learn. You can improve. The second is to teach simple goal setting and planning. This is a fundamental aspect of self-regulation, and so we can teach students better techniques for goal setting and thus improve their metacognition skills. And finally, probably the most practical is to use wrappers. And these can be used in exams, and lectures, tests, homework. So what a wrapper would be for an exam is after a student gets an exam back, the first thing that they should do is look through it, look at the questions that they got wrong, and relate that to how they studied and see, okay, maybe I didn't study adequately for this type of problem. This is how I should address that in the future. So that's kind of a quick look at metacognition and an easy way for students to improve their test scores and things like that is to just realize what you don't know. You can't know what you don't know. So a better look at metacognition is going to help students really focus in on, okay, this is where I have a knowledge gap. And it's an easy way to address that. So moving into actually improving learning, this is kind of from the student side for the first part of this. And the first example is elaborative interrogation. Giving students, as a student, formulating an explanation for facts. And it does take some initial knowledge on the part of the student, but really they're going to integrate what they're learning into the knowledge that they already have better if they can develop kind of a story around that. It's more effective with factual learning, but if we move into self-explanation, the next technique, that's more effective with problem solving, math, science kind of things. And self-explanation is kind of exactly what it sounds like. Talking yourself through how you did the problem, either during or after the problem is completed. Both are going to give you improved test scores when it comes time to taking an exam later. So elaborative interrogation, better for factual. Self-explanation is a better learning technique for complex problem solving. Both are considered moderate utility, mostly for the fact that they're kind of exclusive to one style of material. Moving on to practice testing is one of the best ways that students can improve their learning. It's actually been proven to be more useful than restudying material as far as results on exams go. And it should be low stakes, outside the classroom, something they're not stressing out about, but using flashcards, Jeopardy games, anything to strengthen those neural pathways and improve recall. Again, one of the easiest things students can do, but also one of the most effective. So practice testing is considered a high utility learning tool. And the final student learning tool is interleaved practice problems. Putting in problems of a different nature while they're studying one type of problem. instead of just looking at the volumes of cubes, why don't you throw in some volumes of spheres at the same time? This is going to help a student when it comes time to taking an exam. They're going to have to sort out what solution do I need to use here. They're going to be better set up to do that. While they may not score better during the practice session, those results are definitely going to show on the exam time. So research has really supported that one, specifically for math type problems. While it's important as a student to know the best learning techniques for certain types of classes, I think as a student it's really important to look at the teaching side as well. You can see which teachers are going to be using some of these better learning techniques and maybe where you as a student need to supplement. So moving into the educator side of things, probably one of the biggest and easiest to do as an educator is to space learning out over time. Don't just hit material one time. Come back to it again and again. Maybe you give cumulative exams. I know students hate them, but they really are effective in making sure students can retain that information year to year. It has a moderate utility because it's really useful for factual knowledge, but they're still researching its use in more complex models. The next one, also easy to implement, and again great for math and science, is to put a practice problem that's already been done in the homework set. It will take students less time to go through the homework set because they already have this example, but it's not going to reduce their learning at all. So they are going to have better test scores than if they just tried to struggle through without an example problem. So again, an easy way, but both really great techniques in improving educating. And the final two really dovetail to the student side that I had talked about, using quizzes. Again, great idea, can be done in the classroom, as well as students should be doing it outside the classroom. So again, they should be informal, really emphasizing recall instead of recognition. And then providing in-depth explanations to questions. This does require basic knowledge, again, kind of like the elaborative explanation, they're very similar. Students need to have a basic understanding, but once you provide them, kind of that next level of detail, they're going to really be able to incorporate that into the knowledge that they already have. And again, stronger recall for the future because it's already been embedded once into them, and now you're just giving them, kind of further information to bolster that. So these are 4 techniques for students and 4 techniques for educators, as well as some information on metacognition. And I hope to use this as a student going forward, and I hope you enjoyed. So here's my references, but thank you very much.